Team Racing Series returns to ETV Live on Tuesday nights following the Fast Track Racing Series radio show. After organizing a highly successful team series in 2010, Jerry Wolf is back with some kick butt, take no prisoners, team racing action like you have never seen before. The ETV Live Team Racing Series is sponsored by HD Radio Network live on Tuesday nights from 9 p.m. Eastern. Don't wimp out, dude. Catch the action live at etv-eplay.net.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Dover, Delaware, and the Dover International Speedway, the Monster Mile, hosting round number 2 of the ETV Live Team Series here tonight on ETV Live. Good evening, everybody. My name is Kyle Young, going to be bringing you tonight's action live with my broadcast partner, Evan Pasoko, and joining us down on pit road for the first time tonight, a new member to the ETV Live crew, Clint Monahan. Evan, it was a great race last week. We saw one early caution, and the rest was green flag racing. Should see something similar here tonight, and hopefully it's as successful as it was last week.
And that's right, you mentioned we had one early caution and then lots of green flag racing, and you can never complain when there's lots of green flag racing, and a great way to kick off this season indeed. And tonight you mentioned we're at Dover, the Monster Mile, and we're hoping to see a lot more green flag racing. We're going to see who can tame this tricky track and end up in victory lane at the end of the night.
Absolutely. We're going to be running 150 laps around this 1 mile concrete oval, and the track being nicknamed the Monster Mile, it can be a very brutal race on you, especially on your tires, and we all know that pit strategy is a very important role at this racetrack. Clint, I'm sure it's going to be the same thing here tonight. What are your expectations down on pit road for tonight?
Down on pit road, if there are a lot of cautions, I'm expecting, say, after an 8-lap run, drivers are going to take 2 tires. If it's over 10 to 15 laps, they're going to come down for all 4. Now, on long runs, I can see coming about between lap 45 and 50 on the run, depending on if people want a short pit or not.
It should be very interesting to see how the pit strategy will fall as the race goes on, and how our green flag runs will be in play. Taking a look back at last week with the season opener at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, it was Andrew Berger who picked up the win and brought his team, the Super Speedway Cup in North Union, the victory for the first round. They picked up 124 points, and they beat out their other teammates in the Super Speedway Cup South Rebel. They finished second place with 111 points, so the top 2 spots going to the Super Speedway Cup teams off the opening round. The Last Lap Motorsports team came home in 3rd place with 108 points. Twisty Motorsports, 4th place last week with 102 points. Crossed Up Motorsports round out the top 5. They scored 101 points, only 1 point off of the Twisty Motorsports group, so a pretty close battle between those 2 teams last week. The RSR Midnight Thunder team came home in 6th place last week, actually tying with the Z-Loop Racing team, each team having 91 points. And rounding out the event last week was the RSR Outlaw Truck team. They finished in 8th place with 73 points, and Evan Pasoko has our point standings heading into tonight's event.
And that is definitely, we just went over those team standings, and obviously being a team series, so important. And coming into tonight, also last week's results are the same for the individual drivers' points. Andrew Berger, who brought home that victory, his number 24 is on top. He, of course, you mentioned for the Super Speedway Cup North Union team. And then we also have CJ Levere brought home 2nd place for the RSR Outlaw Trucks. Then we had Brandon Chaburko came home 3rd place in the Super Speedway Cup South Rebel team. Then Stephen Almindo, the RSR Midnight Thunder, he came home 4th in that race, and that's also 4th right now, individual driver's points as well. And then Glenn Hedrick, again, 2nd driver for that Super Speedway Cup South Rebel team, came home in 5th.
So last week's results, as it was the first race, ending up being your point standings heading into tonight, and it's very important early on in the season that you have these strong runs because with the points being so tight, things swap up so quickly and very, very easily. So it's very important to have these good, strong runs early on, and to set your standards high for your teams to be able to conquer and control the team series here early in the going. Currently looking at the qualifying lineup, we have Chad Cole in the number 8 machine. He is currently up on top of the scoreboard, sitting on the pole position right now with CJ Levere in the number 11 truck to his outside in 2nd place. CJ had a great run with a top 5 finish last week, supporting his team very well. Larry Scott Jr., Jimmy Jones, and Matt Lacrosse rounding out the top 5 so far in qualifying.
And that's right, the 32 Mark Arthur currently sitting in that 6th position. Then we have John Abbott in the number 14, currently sitting in 7th position. Then 8th place, Brandon Leonard sitting in his number 26 truck in 8th. Matt Batempi in 9th place right now, and Hunter Bowles is going to round out our top 10 right now in his number 18 truck.
Still about 2 minutes remaining in the qualifying session, and there are still a few trucks out on the speedway taking times and putting in some laps. It's going to be very important for starting position here tonight with how crucial pit road is going to be. It's one of the hardest pit roads to get on that these drivers will have to face, and to be able to get down on the pit road and into your stall with a good pit selection is going to be very, very important tonight.
And that's right, it's way down there in the middle of turns 3 and 4, and you're going to have to check up a lot going into turn 3 if you want to get there. This is all assuming we do get some green flag pit stops, and I'm anticipating that we will see in the great racing that we saw last week. And it's going to be hard because drivers really need to dive it down to that bottom in turn 3, and if you're checking up, getting ready to come down pit road, and there's, say, a 2-wide battle behind you, that's not going to work out too well. So obviously drivers need to communicate well and make this a clean race.
Indeed, they will. It'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. But right now, we're going to head it down trackside to the Cactus Cuties as they bring us our national anthem for tonight's event.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Back here at the Dover International Speedway, the Cactus Cuties bringing us tonight's national anthem. We're going to send it back down trackside for the Grand Marshal here for tonight's event.
Gentlemen,
On the pole in the number 8 machine is Chad Cole, and to his outside, starting second outside of row number 1, the number 11 machine of CJ LeVere.
Row number 2, and in the third position, the number 15, Larry Scott Jr., and starting fourth, the number 27 of Jimmy Jones.
The number 5 machine of Matt Lacrosse is going to match his truck number. He will roll off in P5, and to his outside, the number 32 machine of Mark Arthur.
Row number 4 on the inside is going to be the number 14 of John Abbott, starting in 7th position, and starting 8th, the number 20 of Glenn Hedrick.
Rounding out your top 10, inside of row number 5, the number 26 machine of Brandon Leonard will roll off 9th, and to his outside, the number 21 of Matt Bontempi. He will round out the top 10 in the 10th position.
Starting in 11th place, the number 18 truck of Hunter Bowles, and right on his right-hand side, starting in 12th, the number 10 of Kevin Van.
Bobby Terrell making his debut this season in the number 12 machine. He will roll off in the 13th spot with Tony Bowling in the 3 to his outside in position number 14.
Position number 15 is going to be the number 25 of Ray Kingsbury, and starting in 16th, the number 17 of Frank Busilia.
Busilia finishes out the drivers who took times. Andrew Berger, last week's winner on the 24 machine, on the inside of row number 9. He will roll off in 17th. Brian Shaburko's number 19 machine, 18th.
Row number 10 on the inside, starting 19th, is the number 4, Billy Weeks, and to his right-hand side, starting 20th, the number 23 of Rod Flagg.
21st position is going to go to Terrence Donovan in the 22, and Matt Kingsbury in the 28 is 22nd.
Starting 23rd is number 29 of Stephen Almindo, and starting 24th, number 6 of Josh Cheney.
Garrett Denton in the 31 is 25th, with Sean Brown in the 226. Joshua Harbison 27th in the 30, and Aaron Grosskopf in the 13 will round out the field, the 28 truck field, in 28th place. The pace car dives down onto pit road and puts the field at control with Chad Cole in the number 8 machine. 150 laps around the Monster Mile here tonight. The green flag is out, and we are underway with race number 2 of the second season in the ETV Live Team Series.
And Chad Cole was in no hurry to get going. He waited for the fly at the green flag as opposed to going in that restart box. And that almost stacked things up behind him. Right now, CJ LeVere trying to hang on strong. He's going to lose that side-by-side position as they work their way down the back straightaway. Top 3 single file out as we work into turn number 3.
Chad Coleman's going to bring his Midnight Thunder machine number 8 off of turn number 4. He will lead lap number 1. No problem there. The field's starting to single file throughout for the majority. Side-by-side, I think I saw for about the 9th position here, as Brandon Leonard's number 26 machine is going to drop a spot to the 18. That is Hunter Bowles. So Hunter Bowles moves up into 9th. Leonard drops back down to 10th. And just in front of them, a battle for position with the number 20 machine of Glenn Hedrick. He is trying to get it around. Looks to be the 14 of John Abbott. Indeed it is. Abbott right now being able to hang out of the spot and hang on to 7th as I head into turn 3.
And the 32 truck of Mark Arthur lost a lot of speed as they were working their way by that last lap, and that's what caused a checkup from that 14 truck of John Abbott, and that almost stacked things up behind them. We saw the 20 and the 18 were side by side. That's Glenn Hedrick and Hunter Bowles. They were side by side for a little bit. They have since sorted things out. And back up front, a little bit of a challenge for 3rd place. We have Larry Scott Jr. and his number 15. He has not fallen off that 11 of CJ LeVere, but the number 8 of Chad Cole still leading.
Chad Cole still out in front here, lost a little bit that time to CJ LeVere. CJ starting to reel him back in. We have a caution out on the speedway on lap number 5.
And that's right, the caution on the racetrack early in this race, similar to what we saw in our season opener. And the caution is going to come out for the number 18 truck, Hunter Bowles, position 11 the last time by, and he got a little bit high off turn number 4, got a little bit of a wiggle, and just spun out almost right in front of the field, slid up and collected the number 23 truck as well. That was a hard hit there on the front straightaway and caused pretty significant damage to those trucks as we're now pacing on lap 6.
So a few trucks getting caught up in a pretty heavy incident here early in turn number 1 as the field's starting to catch up onto the pace car here on the back straightaway. Yeah, that 18 machine there, Evan, he's got some serious problems as he is struggling to get that truck back onto pit road for the service of his crew. Only 5 laps into this race. Not too sure what these drivers are thinking so far on their tire wear. be interesting to see who comes down, who stays out, as it looks like right now. It looks like Chad Cole is going to stay out. Second place, CJ LeVere is coming down onto pit road, and it doesn't look like too many people so far. Yep, now the back half of the field is starting to head down onto pit road, so we're going to send it down to our pit reporter here and see what we've got for pit strategy.
CJ LeVere just crossed the start-finish line, heading towards his pit box number 1. Up behind him is number 5 of Matt Lacrosse. They're all coming in, most likely for 2. We're going to see what happens here. It's going to be 2 tires of gas for most. 26 is getting 4. And Chad Cole come out of the pits first, followed by, looks like, I'm sorry, the 11, CJ LeVere will come out of the pits first, followed by one of Chad Cole's teammates. So it was 2 tires and gas for all the trucks that came in. Back to you guys.
And that's right, Clint, we saw the yellow flag pit stops right there. Everybody coming in, getting some fresh tires, a little bit more gas. They've had a little bit of time to see what adjustments they want to make on their race cars. Obviously, an early caution, but if this race is anything like last weekend, we saw a caution fly real early, and we were green until the checkered flag. So if that's the case, definitely want to get in and make the most of those yellow flag pit stops, as that is almost a way to gain a lot of position if you take a 2-tire strategy and everybody else takes 4. So definitely, best way to enter pit road, definitely under caution. We talked about that early in the pre-race, a tricky pit road to enter, but good stop for all those cars that came in. And Chad Cole, he's the leader. He did not come in, and everybody behind him is going to have fresh tires. We are currently pacing here at the Monster Mile in Dover, Delaware. Lap 8 for the race number 2 of the ETV Live Team Series, a 12-race season here, and it's the trucks and Sunday night. New thing we got going on this season. Last week we were at Charlotte. Andrew Berger brought home that victory for his team, and right now that 24 is currently sitting in 16, so if he's looking to take the 2 first checkered flags of the season, he definitely has a little bit of ground to make up, but nothing is said and done yet, as we are about to take lap 9, still under caution of a long 150-lap race. And now we're going to welcome back up to the booth. He just had to run up here from pit road. Clint Monahan's going to hop up with me here for a little bit, as Kyle Young having a little bit of issues with the microphone. We're going to try to get that fixed up as soon as possible for you guys. But we are side by side getting ready to go green. And Clint, how do you think this race is going to shake out?
I think it'll shake out pretty well for Team Midnight Thunder. If they can keep under green flag, Chad Cole is going to be one to reckon with this race. He's one of the toughest racers out there, and if I was on his team, if I was on Team Midnight Thunder, him and Matt Lacrosse and Josh Cheney, and Steve Almindo, that they're gonna have a pretty good race today. All they gotta do is keep it on green flag and keep their cars from wrecking.
And definitely 8 teams, 4 truck teams, and that's definitely one to keep an eye out, as the pace car diving down to pit road soon here, and we're getting ready to release these race cars and go back to some hard green flag racing. Now the pace car dives, and Chad Cole wasting no time. This time he's going to get a huge jump and come to take the green flag.
Make his way right. CJ LeVere's going to make his way around Larry Scott Jr. That's a battle for second. Come down the back straightaway. Chad Cole still has the lead going into turn 3.
And we definitely saw 2 very different starting strategies there. Chad Cole on the first start of the green flag, he waited until the flagman actually flew the green flag, and that's because he did not choose to go in that restart box. This time, as soon as that pace car got behind the wall, he got right on that gas and got going, and CJ LeVere managed to hang on to second place as Larry Scott Jr. challenged him for that, but we are currently green flag racing lap 11.
We got a battle going on back for the third spot between Matt Lacrosse, Josh Cheney, and the 15 of Larry Scott. He's not having a good run right now. He's sliding back a little bit, but Matt's going to take that lead. And of course, our leader is still Chad Cole.
And that's right, Chad Cole, CJ Rivera pulled away a little bit. Then you see the 5 Matt Lacrosse. Not that he's holding up the drivers, but that's a little bit of a 4-car pack that you mentioned. Matt Lacrosse, Jimmy Jones right behind him in that number 27. Almost hit the wall if he did not make contact, got real close. And then the 14, John Abbott, hanging on in the wings.
One of our hard charges of this race so far is Brandon Schuberko in the number 19, the SS Cup North team. Right now he's getting past Lowe by the 32. But Brandon Schuberko all the way up from 18th, now he's in 8th.
That's right, him and Andrew Berger, they were the 2 highest placed cars on the grid that did not qualify. And I have to wonder if he stayed out and did not pit or took a 2-tire strategy when everybody else took 4 that last time. But not too sure, but he is definitely moving up now. He's going to challenge. He's going to drop down low on that number 32 truck. 32 slides up the racetrack, rear end stepping out, and give that position, the 19 of Brandon Schuberko, up to 8th place. He has now gained 10 positions in no more than 15 laps.
Yeah, Evan, it's not a surprise to see Brennan working his way through the field. We saw how strong he was last week after making a mistake, and he charged his way back up through the field, and getting word that we have a caution now here on lap 16.
Not too sure what the caution is out for yet. We hear the 25 car, Ray Kingsbury, may be involved in an incident on the back straightaway. A car may have been stopped on the back straightaway and have exited out. We are not too positive, but we are still trying to figure out. But caution is indeed out right now, lap 17.
Looks like getting word that the problem on the racetrack was for the number 13 machine, Aaron Groskopf. Lost control of his racetrack and went around off of turn number 2. So a single truck incident has put us under caution once again here on lap 16, the second caution on the night.
And definitely, I noticed he had a lot of rear end damage, almost like he got run over maybe in a restart, big checkup. Not too sure where that happened. It must have been on the restart. I'm checking back, looking through the film, and he did not have that issue. He was way back in the pack when he went green, and he definitely got hit in the rear end by the number 29 truck. He got hit by that on the restart. That's the 29 of Steven Almindo. Gave him a little bit of a shot as they were in turn 3, a little bit of a checkup on that restart, and that may have messed with the handling on that 13 as you saw him go around all by himself.
The majority of the field coming down towards you here. Clint Monahan down into pit road. Clint, what do you see?
I see teams are going to change 4 tires and, of course, add fuel. Everybody came down. It's not intelligent to stay out this early in the race. It's 10-lap tires. We actually, the 12 truck, I apologize, Bobby Terrell, he took 2. He's going to come out in front of everyone. Him and 11 truck, TJ Levere.
The RSR guys, TJ Levere and Bobby Terrell, win the pit road there. 1-2 off of pit road. Third place coming out of the pits is the number 5 machine, Matt Lacrosse. Chad Cole dropping a few spots. He comes out in 4th, and Jimmy Jones is going to be the 5th truck out of the pits here on lap number 18.
And that's right, so we already have 2 cautions so far tonight. That's double what we saw last week, and these are 2 totally different racetracks. Last week we were at a 1.5 mile quad oval racetrack, lots of room and high speeds, and the high speeds are here, but the room is definitely not there as much. You see this big wide racetrack, you think, oh, they can go 3 wide with ease, but the race line is not everywhere, and if you're not in that race line, your car is going to get real loose if you're too low below it. If you're too up high, you're going to get up in those marbles and get loose. And obviously that one truck that we just saw spin out looks more of a mechanical issue. As I did mention, he had some rear end damage, so definitely some tighter racing drivers being told to give a little more room to each other, be smart about it, as we are pacing for our second caution right now, lap 19. Still about 131 laps to go, so we still got a lot of racing ahead of us.
Yeah, Evan, this is a very demanding racetrack. It's a 1 mile concrete oval, and you're running on the banking around the entire track, not just in the turns, but there's quite a bit of banking on the straightaways as well. And the transition off and onto the turns is absolutely tremendous. Coming up off the turn, these guys, it's like a bit of an up elevation onto the straightaway, and then these trucks really dive down into the corner when they head off of the straightaways. So it's a very demanding racetrack and a very interesting one. It's going to be a challenge for these guys to keep their trucks intact and keep them in handle throughout the entire race. 150 laps at this track is a very long amount of time, and you got to make sure you got a truck working throughout the entire thing.
And definitely one place you don't want to get into a driver, which is where we'll actually end up seeing most of the incidents, unfortunately, is going to be off the corner. You mentioned when they dive down into those corners, the car gets stuck down to the racetrack. Lots of grip. It gets way down there onto the racetrack. And then when you come up, the springs release and the car gets a little bit up off the track, and that's when it's real loose in the rear end. Obviously, with these trucks, you notice that big flatbed, not the heaviest thing in the world compared to a Gen 6 car where weight more evenly distributed. Obviously it is evenly distributed in these, but it's a little bit looser in that rear end, so definitely very sensitive part of that race truck. And you got to be careful, especially at this track. 9 degrees on the front straightaway, even that's the flattest part of this racetrack. 24 degrees in the corner, so definitely a lot of counter steer.
So as you can see here, the field has doubled up, and we are about ready to go green flag racing once again here on lap 20. CJ LeVere and Bobby Terrell, the two RSR Outlaw truck teammates, hold up row 1 with the Midnight Thunder guys behind them. So we see some team domination here in these first 2 rows. The pace car is down on the pit road. CJ LeVere waiting to take the green flag. It is now out. CJ LeVere goes. We are racing once again here at Dover.
And again, a totally different restart from what we just saw. He waited until the green flag was thrown by the official as opposed to that restart box. Leader in control of it, and CJ LeVere is going to pull away. Now the 5. Matt LaCrosse has made his way around the 12 of Bobby Terrell for second position, and Bobby Terrell now being challenged by another truck back here in the field. That's the 27 of Jimmy Jones is going to go by him, along with Brandon Chaburko, fast moving up the track, and that 12 car dropping back on the high side as now he also has company by that number 17 of Frank Busilia in his 17 truck working by him, so that 12 has definitely dropped a lot. Not a great restart for him.
Yeah, Bobby Terrell in some serious problems off of that restart there. He drops from 2nd to 6th. May not have been the best pit stop for those guys, or just a restart mistake there. It's cost him a few spots. Still a long way to go, and he's got a lot of time to recover. Still running in the top 10. And if there's any transfer over from last season, we know how strong Bobby can be, and I'm sure that he will be able to rebound from this quite easily. Looking throughout the field, the majority of these guys have gotten single file, and they've done a good job of doing that so far. As now right in front of Bobby Terrell, we got a battle for position between Super Speedway Cup South teammates as Brendan Chaburko moves his way around Frank Busilia for the 4th position. But these guys have been taking it really easy off this restart and single filing and getting some laps, and they realize how demanding this racetrack is, and it's tough to figure out what your truck's got and what you need to work on when you're running side by side with people for a good amount of time.
And definitely, and when you are dedicated to try to go the inside, maybe you see the truck in front of you push up the racetrack a bit. If you get down there and then you realize you're not going to be able to make it, you're going to slide right up the racetrack, and it's going to be hard keeping your truck off of another one. And I've been keeping attention around the 11th position right now. The number 20, Glenn Hedrick, has dropped off 2 positions since that restart. He went for a pass, he couldn't do it, and he slid way up to the white wall, the safer barrier in turns 3 and 4. And the 21, Matt Bontempi, almost got by him. He pulled back in line, but now he is knocking on the doorstep again.
Indeed he is. Evan Bontempi all over the rear end of Glenn Hedrick. He is trying to get around that number 20 machine for the 11th spot and try to work his way back up through the field. Bontempi, a part of the Super Speedway Cup North team. That team picked up the victory. Oh, and we got problems on the back straightaway. 2 trucks down into the inside wall. They're coming back up the track. More trucks are going to get involved. I saw the 26 was one of them. That's Brandon Leonard, the 28. His teammate is also involved. That is Matt Kingsbury. multiple trucks getting caught up in a crash here on the back straightaway on lap 27, and the caution is out for the third time tonight.
And definitely it was the 26 of Brandon Leonard off of turn number 2. Just got up into those marbles, and there's absolutely no grip for his race car, and he came right down into the unsuspecting race car. I believe that was the 32 of Mark Arthur right below him. And they call it a self-cleaning racetrack where everything slides down to the bottom, but they had so much speed they just bounced right back up in the field, and the field virtually had nowhere to go, collected to several other cars, some with some minor damage, but definitely clogs up that racetrack real quick with that inside wall being right there. Definitely a tough situation to avoid.
Yeah, Evan, you talk about it being a self-cleaning racetrack. That's unfortunately one of the products that we see here with this Dover International Speedway, with the straightaways being banked. The straightaways being banked, and with the inside wall being right at the racing groove, pretty much at the bottom of the racing surface, there's nowhere to go. When something happens and there are 2 or 3 trucks spinning on the back straightaway, bouncing off that wall, they come back up and clog the entire track, and we've seen it before, not only here in iRacing, but on in the real world as well, where things get stacked up and people don't have anywhere to go. Fortunately, it wasn't as big as it could have been, but there were some trucks involved that just had nowhere to go, and innocent victims of this incident.
And that's right, all our trucks are down on pit road in front of Clint Monahan. What's going on down there?
Thanks, guys. CJ LeVere is going to make it out of pit road first. He's going to be followed by the 19 of Super Speedway Cup North, and then followed by his one of the Midnight Thunder guys, Matt Lacrosse. So they took 2. A lot of other people took 4. We'll see how this plays out if we get another long green flag run again, guys.
Indeed we will, Clint. Thank you once again for the update down on pit road. Looks like there was a driver who had stayed out onto the racing surface. It is the 23 machine of Rod Flagg, part of the Super Speedway Cup North team. He is currently sitting 19 laps down, so he's obviously staying out to get one of his laps back, involved in one of the earlier cautions. As it looks to appear, Rod Flagg, the 4th and final driver for his team, and if you're new for the team series, these teams have 4 drivers on them, but the top 3 drivers are the ones that count for points. So obviously right now Rod Flagg would not be the driver to count for points for the Super Speedway Cup North team, so you kind of have that one freebie guy where if something happens, it doesn't quite affect you. But if it's at all possible, you want to keep all 4 trucks out on the racetrack, because you never know what could happen. There could be a part of that team, like Andrew Berger, or another one of their teammates who gets into some sort of problem tonight and cannot continue on, and that's where Rod Flagg is going to be really important to the team if he can stay out on the racetrack, because he will be that driver to score the 3rd and final points for that team.
And that's right, you don't want to waste your mulligan too early. And that's the idea with the 3 trucks are going to get points. So obviously you can afford to have one driver not have a good night. And right now, obviously, Rod Flagg, things not going the way he wants to. 18 laps down. I don't think he's going to be anywhere close to the lead lap. So he's just going to stay out on the racetrack and hope that if a driver's getting an incident where their car cannot be repaired, he's going to gain those positions as we work our way through the night. But we still have a long way of racing to go. So that team definitely does not want to see a car having bad luck early in this race, because that means that those other 3 guys have to be near perfect if you want to get a very good point today. And it's still early in the season, so you're not going to win the championship in this race, but you can definitely make the rest of the season a lot easier for yourself if you continue to get consistent runs, as I do believe lights are off on the pace car and we're getting ready to go green this time by.
Indeed they are, Evan. The field has doubled up onto the back straightaway, and we're about a half a lap from going green flag racing here. CJ LeVere is going to bring them down to the green flag, and his number 11 machine with Brendan Chaburka to his outside. Matt Lacrosse in the 5. He is 3rd place. Frank Musilia the 3rd. He is 4th. Jimmy Jones on the 27 rounds up the top 5, heading onto this restart. Pace car about ready to duck down onto pit road and put it into the hands of CJ LeVere here on lap number 31.
And that's right, we're working through. Pace car is going to dive behind that pit road wall. Let's watch what strategy CJ LeVere uses. He's going to wait. He's still waiting. He's through the restart box. The green flag is going to fly from the flag stand, and the 11 of CJ LeVere is now going to take off from that 19. Obviously, very different strategies. 19, Brandon Chaburko is going to get the better start. 11 may have spun the tires, didn't get going at all. The 19 we saw a wiggle out of him too, but obviously that inside line just so strong. In the entrance to this corner, they're going to be side by side down the back straightaway. Advantages to the 11. 19 made up a little bit of ground down the backstretch with that run that he gets off the high side. They're still 3 wide, and as they battle, here comes the 5, Matt Lacrosse, sticking his nose into the picture. He is now side by side with the 19. He's going to back off a bit, and the top 3 are going to single file out into turn 1.
Man, Evan, these guys are putting it all out on the line off this restart. I saw at least half of the trucks in the top 10 sliding sideways coming out of these turns. Brennan Chaburko and Matt Lacrosse especially, they know that their best chance to get some positions here are off of the restart, and they wanted that. And definitely, now as Matt Lacrosse gets a little sideways off of turn 4, he slaps the outside wall. Still hanging tough though, no problem there. We continue on and stay green flag racing, but those guys, they were just charging hard. Now Chaburko sideways off of turn number 2, he hits the wall. Lacrosse is going to go down into turn number 3, he takes a spot now. Jimmy Jones's number 27 is going to peek to the inside off of turn number 4. He wants a taste of the action, and he moves into the 3rd place. And now Frank Busilia III is going to try and follow through him and move up into the 4th place. So Chaburko, a mistake off of turn 2, going to cost him about 3 spots.
And he has done so good working his way up from 18th position, and you just get that little bit of a wiggle. We saw him wiggle on the restart there when he started second, maybe a little bit of a loose truck after the adjustments that they made. Hopefully maybe he's thinking it'll come back, come around, get tighter on a long run. Maybe that's what that car's aiming for. But he definitely lost a handful of positions. And that 8 also, Chad Cole, almost came flying in on the bottom. And once you get stuck on that high side, you want to get down in line as much as possible. And you mentioned they were going for it on the restarts. That is the quickest, or that is the easiest way, rather, to make up positions, especially at such a tough racetrack. And it's really hard to run somebody down straight up unless it's on a long run. Now the 8's going to go down low on that 19, but it's so hard to catch somebody on a long run unless they cause an incident. You never want to hope bad luck upon your fellow competitors. So definitely restarts are the way to do it.
Absolutely, Evan, and as you had mentioned, Chad Cole moving down to the inside of Brendan Chaburko. He's going to try and crack the top 5 again. He gets loose in the middle of the corner. Chaburko gives him a shot in the rear end. They somehow hang on. No problems there. Man, these guys are all sorts of loose here tonight. Chaburko now going to cross him up down onto the inside at turn number 1. He takes the spot back. Larry Scott Jr. throwing his name into the mix, and he's going to go around the 8 of Chad Cole. Chad was our pole sitter. He led a few laps early on. Now he was trying to get back to the top spot once again, got a little loose, made a small mistake, got some rear end damage out of that, but everybody's still hanging clean and green. Miles the Monster looks a little hungry. I mean, he's trying to claim some trucks, but they can't quite seem to fall to him quite yet.
Oh, they're sticking in there. He's definitely trying to go for it, and keep an eye on that 8 truck. We saw our last caution, a car with, or not our last caution, 2 cautions ago, I believe the second caution was a self-spin from a car that got heavy rear-end damage. Now a big wiggle for the 19 on the bumper. They are really racing for it, but watch that 8. We saw a car spin by itself with rear-end damage similar to that earlier in this race, so we're going to see if that affects the handling of that 8 at all. But one car that is wicked loose, one truck rather, the 19 Brandon Chaburko, he got all over that bumper, the number 15 of Larry Scott Jr. How about Frank Busilia? He's moved his way up to 4th position rather than his 17 truck. So he's definitely moving up to the field. 19 real loose now as the 8's going to look down low and not going to go for the pass just quite yet.
Yeah, you mentioned that Frank Busilia running in the 4th place right now. He had a very strong truck last week at Charlotte Motor Speedway, running up in the top 5 in the majority of the race, but he got caught up in an incident under green flag pit stops, which unfortunately took him out of the race. So that hurt his chances of a good finish. His team was able to finish 2nd overall. They were about 13 points out of the win over their affiliating team, the Super Speedway Cup North team, as now we have a caution on lap 42.
And that's right, caution out. I see the number 10 truck, Kevin Van, smoking heavily, and it looks like he got into the wall all by himself off of turn number 4. Got real loose, tried to save it, overcorrected it, and when he saw it was heading straight on for that outside wall, tried to keep it off, and that put him head on with that inside wall, smacked that wall real hard, very bad damage. Looks like pretty significant engine damage as well. That truck is smoking pretty bad, and that's really unfortunate for that 10 again. Early in this race, but Miles the Monster, he's being very impatient tonight, and he's eating these trucks alive.
Not only Kevin Van with some problems, looks like the number 30 machine of Joshua Harbison also possibly involved or has a motor let go of him as well. His number 30 machine for Z-Loop Racing working its way down towards the pit. He is also spewing some smoke. We're going to send it down to our pit reporter. Clint, what do you got for us as these guys are heading down to the pits?
Everybody's going to come down the pit road. It's going to be 4 tires unless somebody's really trying to take a big guess on what they should do. But everybody's going to take 4, bunch of gas. Kevin Van's going to take his truck behind the wall. He's done for today. It's a tough break for him and his group. I know they were trying to run hard there at Twisty Motorsports. But coming out of the pits, CJ LeVere just got going. And Matt Lacrosse will be first out. Matt Lacrosse followed by CJ. And behind them is Brandon Chaburko in his SS Cup South number 19 Chevrolet. The belt normal pit stops, guys. Some couple took 2. Some people in the back. But Matt Lacrosse will be your first coming out pit road.
Indeed he is, Clint. Thank you once again. Matt Lacrosse winning the race off of pit road. He will be your race leader. We see the number 23 of Rod Flagg staying out once again. He is going to get another lap back, and that will put him 17 laps down to the rest of the field. But off of pit road, it's Matt Lacrosse, CJ LeVere, Brendan Chaburko, Jimmy Jones, and Larry Scott Jr., the top 5 out of the pits, and they will be your top 5 once we go back to Green Flag Racing. Kevin Van, as Clint had mentioned, pulled the truck behind the wall, and he is done for the day. He has climbed out of his machine, and understandably so, a pretty hard impact there on the inside wall. Just too much damage for him to continue. A tough break for him, and that's going to, I believe that's going to take out the Mulligan driver for the Twisty Motorsports team.
And definitely you don't want to see that early on in this race. We are 5 laps away from 100 laps to go, so we have 105 laps to go. And it seems to be a caution-filled race, nothing like what we saw last week. And we're pacing right now, lap 45 down the back straightaway. We heard mentioned Matt Lacrosse, first car off pit road. So it'll be interesting to see, because we've seen the 11 CJ LeVere. He's waited a lot on these previous 2 restarts when he was the leader. He waited a lot until they were almost at the green flag, so it'll be interesting to see if Matt Lacrosse indeed goes as soon as that pace car hits pit road, which really puts second position in a stranglehold because they can't guess it. You're not allowed to beat the leader to the line, or that's going to be a black flag.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that drama here last week when the Real World NASCAR Series came here. Obviously, the rules are still the same here. You can't beat the leader to the line. Can't jump the restart. We have the 1 to go now as Rod Flagg goes around the pace car to catch up to the end of the field, as the field will double up. Matt Lacrosse, is number 5 machine for the Midnight Thunder team, is currently out in front. We've seen how strong CJ LeVere has been so far throughout this race. LeVere picked up a top 3 finish last week and looking to continue the momentum for his RSR team, and they're looking for a good finish to wrap up week number 2 after a pretty successful week 1. So far, we haven't really seen a dominant driver too much, or a dominant team. We've got a lot of widespread differences. Actually, we have 5 different teams in the top 5 right now. The first repeat team driver is 6th place. That is John Abbott for the RSR team, teammates with CJ LeVere.
And that's definitely right, but it's time to let these trucks go at it again. Hold on here. It's another one of these crazy restarts at Dover. The number 5, Matt Lacrosse, in control of the field as that pace car is down on pit road. He's going to wait. You see the 19 Brandon Chaburko right up onto his bumper, and the green flag flies, and they're off.
Oh, the number 19 machine there, Brendan Chaburko, he spins his tires on the inside, gets a big wiggle. He's able to hang on, not going to lose any positions, though. CJ LeVere sticking tough to the outside of Matt Lacrosse off of turn number 2, not going to be able to work. Lacrosse clears and takes over the top spot completely now. side by side for the 4th place position. That is going to be the 15 machine of Larry Scott Jr. He is working his way around the 27 of Jimmy Jones to move him up to 4th place now as the rest of the field single file down into turn number 1.
And that's right, the 19, Brandon Chaburko. What a night he's had so far. We heard down on pit road, Clint was talking about that earlier, hard charger. Started 18th, he's currently sitting in the 3rd position, but don't count that 15 out either. Larry Scott Jr. qualified in 3rd, he's sitting back in 4th place. He definitely has a fast race truck for his V-Loop racing team as he's going to look to the inside of the 19, get down to the white line. 19 is going to wiggle, move up, and the 15 is going to make that pass, and here comes the 17 also, Frank Busilia, the 3rd, going to try to look down low on the 19 of Brandon Chaburko, who's trapped on that high side.
Chaburko slid off at turn number 2 there, lost a bit of time, and now he's stuck on the top side, losing some spots as well. Chaburko is fighting a loose truck once again, and that's nothing that we haven't seen usually out of the 19 machine. He has been all sorts of crazy loose these past few races here in the ETV Live Team Series. He had some problems last week, which cost him quite a few spots, and we've seen him a kind of an on-the-edge driver throughout the majority of last season. Kind of reminds me of Kyle Busch with how hard he drives, but right now he's sitting out on the outside, starting to drop back some spots, and he's currently sitting in 7th place after restarting 3rd, and is getting hung out by a string of RSR drivers. So Chaburko now going to be able to get down to the inside. He's going to look to the inside of the 14 of John Abbott for that 7th spot back, and try to mount a charge back up to where he was.
Definitely a crossover by that 19 truck. Brandon Chaburko, right as the 14 slid up in front of his head, thank you very much, and dove down low into turn number 3 and regained that position of the 14, looking on that bumper of the 19. He's not going to push the issue too yet. We still got a lot of racing to go, and now the 19, Brandon Chaburko, has finally found his spot back in line, but he dropped back to 7th position, as I just mentioned. He was in 3rd, so that's going to shift up your top 5, though. Right now, the running order, Matt Lacrosse has almost a half-second lead, a 4/10 of a second lead, rather, over that 11 truck of CJ LaVere. Then we have Larry Scott Jr. and his number 15 sitting in 3rd position, 6/10 off. Right behind him, Frank Busilia, the 3rd, and his 17 truck sitting right behind him, and Chad Cole, the 8th, is going to round off the top 5.
3rd through 5th here, Busilia, Scott, and Cole all kind of tighten up into a little group here as they try to run down Matt Lacrosse and CJ LaVere. They've kind of separated themselves from these 3. Chad Cole, we mentioned, our pole sitter from the night, led a few laps early. He's currently sitting in the 5th place position, trying to work his way back up front to his teammate Matt Lacrosse and get a good point total here for the Midnight Thunder team. That would put 2 drivers up into the top 3 if he can get up into 2nd. They currently have 2 in the top 5. As he's all over the rear end of Frank Busilia, but he can't quite get a run off the turns to try and make something happen just yet. He's got some breathing room back from the 27 to Jimmy Jones, so he can afford to bide his time a little bit and wait for the right opportunity to make his move. But I'm sure he's looking to get around here pretty soon.
And I'm not sure if we can get a replay of this, but lap 54, the number 14, John Abbott, off of turn number 4. He was looking on the inside of that number 19 truck. Brandon Chaburko got real loose, almost up into the outside wall there on the front stretch, almost came down to the 12. They were both drifting for part of that front stretch. They managed to hang on to it, and they are still running, but definitely a close call on that front straightaway just a handful of laps ago. But you mentioned Matt Lacrosse, CJ LaVere, opening up a little bit of a gap, and then we still have a pretty good battle for that 7th position where that incident almost occurred, and that's Brandon Chaburko pulling onto that spot at the 12. Bobby Terrell looking for a way around him, as Bobby Terrell, we know, is so good at these short tracks.
Terrell going to make it move down to the inside in turn number 3. Can't quite stick the fender underneath. He's going to have to settle to go around once again and try to make the move, as these guys battling for the 7th position. Bobby Terrell, an RSR driver. Brandon Chaburko running for the Super Speedway South team, finished 2nd place last week to the Super Speedway Cup North team. And trying to make some move up here, make some progress up through the field. Chaburko looks like he's got a handle of his truck after a poor restart there, but he's under attack from Terrell right now, and Terrell's not letting him go too easy.
And definitely is going to take another look. Looks like that 12 can get a real good entry into the corner, but he almost drives it in so hard that the 19 is going to get the run off. I'm going to watch here. They're going to go into turn number 3. You see the 12 go way down, trying to get down there. The 19 gives him the space, and he's going to make it stick. Maybe he's right there at his quarter panel. They're going to be almost side by side. Now the 19 is going to get that little bit of a run, and here comes that 24. Andrew Berger, your winner from last week, bringing himself into the picture.
Haven't heard much from Andrew Berger here tonight as he is currently in the 9th spot. This battle up in front of him has allowed him to close up, and now just behind him, Glenn Hedrick starting to stick his nose into the picture a little bit and try to close up and make a battle out of this one. A 4-truck battle here for the 7th position. Berger currently running in the top 10 after being our victor last week for the Super Speedway Cup North team. He's got an affiliate teammate in the Super Speedway Cup South team just 2 trucks in front of him. But right now he is trying to work his way around Bobby Terrell. Terrell is kind of backed off at Traburco for the most part. And he's now got a mirror full of that 24 machine, and we know how strong that Berger can be.
And that's right, strong, but you don't want to get over-aggressive. And you see the 12 is going to dive it down again. He's really trying to make that bottom line work. And that 12, Bobby Terrell, is mainly concerned right now in the 19 of Brandon Traburco. And if he's focusing on that truck in front of him, not necessarily checking his mirrors, and that 24 goes to make a move, the 12 might have no idea that he's there, and that could cause an incident. So you definitely don't want to get under patient, so to speak. You want to be smart about this race. The 12 is going to look again. He's making that bottom work. 19's giving him the room. It's just off the corner of that high side. They can get to the throttle just that much quicker. And now the 24 is going to look to the high side. 19 in the wall, though.
Traburco struggling again off of turn 2. He's going to kiss the wall a little bit. That's going to cost him 2 spots. Maybe he's going to catch a break here if Glenn Hedrick, his teammate, can let him down. Not going to happen. He's going to lose 4 spots before he can finally get back in line and get some breathing room off of turn number 4, heading down into turn number 1. Paying attention to the gap here between the top 2, and it's starting to close a little bit. CJ Laver's RSR Outlaw truck is starting to close in, and we have a caution on lap 64 here at Dover.
And definitely an incident at the back of the field. I know the 21 Matt Bontempi involved. I see lots of smoke on the backstretch. Looks like he just came up and pounded the wall. He said he thought he had a little bit more grip. He came over the radio. Car just got a little bit loose and didn't get the grip that he was expecting. And he really took a hard hit to that outside wall off turn number 2 and went down nose first into the inside wall and almost collected the 22 car of Terrence Donovan. Came right up in the racetrack. Luckily enough, that was near the back end of the field, so there wasn't a whole bunch of cars, but that definitely could have caused another big incident. You saw him bounce right up, right into the racing groove, but that's a tough break as he has now brought his car behind the wall. They are done for the night.
Yeah, I mean, that was a really hard hit down to the inside of the wall. That killed that truck for sure. A tough break for Matt Bontempi. He was a part of the winning team last week for the Super Speedway Cup North team. So, I'd mentioned it before, Rod Flagg being that important driver now, as Bontempi is not going to score points for that Super Speedway Cup North team. So Rod Flagg trying to get all the laps back in positions that he can. Trucks down on pit road, heading into the stalls right now. Clint, what do you got for us?
I just went in the infield and put $20 down that everybody that came into pits is going to take 4 tires. That's how confident I am, and that's what they are doing right now. And also Matt Bontempi has with assistance, I should say. His truck has been taken behind the wall. He's done. He's out of the truck. I don't blame him if he's not a very happy person right now. But coming out of the pits first, just like last time, Matt Lacrosse right behind him, CJ Laver, followed by Chad Cole, Jimmy Jones in the 27, and Larry Scott in his Loop. And right behind him, of course, is Bobby Terrell. Guys, back to you.
So Matt Lacrosse once again showing his pit road strength. He wins the battle off of pit road, and he will take the lead once we go back green flag racing. Currently running lap 66 right now of 150. About 80 laps to go left in this one here for the Monster Mile. We're going to step away for a quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back at the Dover International Speedway.
you're a serious online racing enthusiast, you need Derek Spear Design, maker of high-quality, custom-built, and 50 caliber strong simulation racing products like button boxes, shifter pedals, component parts, and more. The advantage a championship sim racing driver needs. Rated 10 out of 10 by Inside Sim Racing TV. Check out his line of top-shelf sim racing products reasonably priced at DerekSpearDesigns.com and buckle in for a no-nonsense ride. DerekSpearDesigns.com today, cowboy.
Welcome back to the Dover International Speedway here in Dover, Delaware. We're about ready to go back green flag racing. The field working their way through turns 3 and 4. Here they're going to complete lap number 68 of 150 when they take the green flag. Matt Lacrosse going to lead them back down to the green flag with C.J. Rivera, Chad Cole, Jimmy Jones, and Larry Scott Jr., your top 5. Pace car down on pit road. Matt Lacrosse getting ready to see the green flag so he can put his Midnight Thunder machine, the gas pedal, to the floor. Green flag is out and we're underway once again here at Dover. A good restart for both Matt Lacrosse and C.J. Rivera. Rivera's going to be able to clear down in front of Chad Cole, teammates to Matt Lacrosse. So he's going to be able to split those Midnight Thunder trucks up, and now he's going to try and focus on getting around Matt Lacrosse. We saw Rivera kind of strong at the end of that run and was looking to maybe challenge. Now he's thinking about challenging, looking to the inside into turn 1. Not going to be able to do it that time. But Rivera is definitely giving Matt Lacrosse a fight, and it's going to be interesting to see what Chad Cole can do. Now that he's kind of back up towards the front of the field, we know he's got a strong truck as his teammate in the lead. So these Midnight Thunder guys, they're here to play tonight.
And definitely saw C.J. Rivera. He didn't want to waste any time hanging on that high side. He dropped right in behind Matt Lacrosse as soon as we went back green here in that 8. Chad Cole, he's fast. He was sitting on the pole. He does still have that rear end damage, but it doesn't seem to be affecting his handling. He's still running a pretty strong race. He mentioned he's third, and he's staying real close to that back bumper of the 11. Matt Lacrosse has pulled a little bit away from that 11, C.J. Rivera, but Chad Cole knocking on that door for that third position.
Chad Cole trying to move his way around C.J. Rivera for the second spot and make it a 1-2 run for the Midnight Thunder guys right now. They are looking very, very strong, and I have a feeling it's going to come down to these 3 drivers right here, Matt Lacrosse, C.J. Rivera, and Chad Cole for the victory towards the end of this one. Just behind these guys, though, Frank Bustilio III getting around Larry Scott Jr., and now Larry losing another spot now to Bobby Terrell, who is about ready to crack the top 5. He does that. Larry Scott trying to get down, can't quite do it. Jimmy Jones pokes his nose underneath. Now he loses the run off the turn, and then he has to settle, choose stick behind him. Evan, I'm kind of seeing with these guys aren't losing just 1 spot off these passes. They're losing at least 2 to 3 spots when they're getting passed.
And definitely that 15 truck you mentioned, Larry Scott Jr. lost a couple of positions right there. He went way up to the wall, which ended up having the number 17 to bring Frank Bustilio III and Bobby Terrell pass him. And he was able to hang on to that 6th position right now. Jimmy Jones just lost the run off of turn 2. And a good example of what you just mentioned is Brandon Chaburko. He was sitting in 3rd place. He went up to the high side. He lost 3 or 4 positions, and then a couple laps later made the same mistake, and he ended up back around 12th position. So you really don't want to lose a position. That can really bite you in the long run. The top side, obviously, maybe not the preferred line, and maybe a single lane racetrack right now. Not sure if that will change as this track changes throughout the race, but definitely bottom where you want to be. Now you see the 27, Jimmy Jones, going to slide up, and here comes the 19 of Brandon Chaburko. He's sticking his nose into the picture again. He's moving up, and right behind the 24, Andrew Berger.
Cross flags were in the air that last time by. We are halfway through the GM Mercer.com 150 here at Dover. Chaburko making another move, moving his way up to 7th. And as I had mentioned before there, Evan, Jimmy Jones not losing. Oh, and we got some problems now. Brandon Chaburko gets, no, that's not Chaburko. That is the number 15, Larry Scott, got loose. He pounded the wall off of turn number 4. Chaburko's going to slide on by. Andrew Berger as well. Glenn Hedrick. Oh, loose again is Larry Scott. He loses another 4th position now down to the back straight. Larry Scott, he's got an Evo bug underneath of that race truck, and it's starting to hurt him. He hit the wall a ton off of turn number 4.
Almost making contact right there with the 14. John Abbott nearly spun him around. Now the number 3, Tony Bowling, first time we've mentioned him all night, moving his way up. He's into 11th position. You mentioned the 15, Larry Scott, made contact with the wall, and it takes a while to get back in your groove, and he lost a handful of positions. So you mentioned that earlier. It doesn't seem like you're going to lose one or two. If you make a mistake, you are going to lose a ton of them, and he was definitely fighting a loose car. He's looking inside the car right now. He is sawing away at that wheel in the corner. Definitely a loose race truck. Definitely going to want to get that fixed up next time he hits pit road. But he's going to try to salvage what he can out of this run. We haven't seen any long green flag runs all night, so that's definitely something that he wants to do, is get down pit road and get any cosmetic damage repaired, maybe avoid any sort of tire rub on the right side of that race truck.
Indeed, he will, Evan. And back up front, we got a battle for the lead right now. CJ LeVere has made the move around Matt Lacrosse, and he is going to put his number 11 machine out in front for the RSR Outlaw Truck Team. Matt Lacrosse drops down to second. Chad Cole still sitting in third. Frank Busilia running fourth. Bobby Terrell in fifth place right now. CJ LeVere showing the strength. Ooh, now Matt Lacrosse goes up and kisses the wall after turn number 4. No harm, no foul. Still keeps up the run here. Chad Cole trying to maybe get to his bumper, see if he can't get around him, and see what he's got for CJ LeVere here. They got a little gap back to fourth and fifth place. Frank Busilia to the third, and Bobby Terrell. As you know, really the only separation we've kind of seen is up towards the front. I mean, you see the top three have broken away. Fourth and fifth are on their own. Andrew Berger in sixth place, he's kind of on his own. But everywhere else, these guys they're so compact and they're so tight racing each other. I think that's why we're seeing these guys lose so many spots when they make a mistake or get passed by one. They just get passed by more. As Frank Busilia got into the wall off of turn number 2 there, he's going to open up the inside for Bobby Terrell. Terrell takes the spot over to move the 12 truck into P4.
And number 5, Matt Lacrosse, he's currently running in second. He was the lead. We just saw CJ LeVere overtake him just a couple of laps ago, and he played that really smart. He saw CJ got the run off turn number 4, and instead of battling him throughout turns 1 and 2 and possibly losing that third spot to the aid of Chad Cole, who's not too far behind, he went way up high in turn 1 and then sliced back down to get that run and get back in the low groove as possible, as he gets real loose there off turn number 4. So he definitely played that well to not lose 2 positions there. But CJ LeVere, representing the RSR Outlaw Truck Series, hanging out in first place, and then 2 people behind him, definitely teammates. You're going to see if they're going to work together. That's the Midnight Thunder crew.
Yeah, I mean, that was a pretty smart move there from Matt Lacrosse. He realized that he's got a pretty long ways to go. You know, there's no point in really racing CJ too hard right now. He'll let him go. He understands that this is a team sport. He doesn't have to go out and win the race in order to win the real war behind the race. Unfortunately, though, Terrell in the 12 machine behind these 2 Midnight Thunder guys, teammates with the leader right now. So we have 2 RSR Outlaw Truck teammates in the top 4, 2 Midnight Thunder guys in the top 4, and then we have a Super Speedway Cup South driver running in 5th place, who is now, looks like he's under attack by an affiliate teammate in the 24 of Andrew Berger. As he is starting to close in on the 17 machine, he's looking to the inside in the middle of turns 1 and 2. Off of the turn, can't quite get it done. He's going to try and give it another shot down here in turn number 3. Berger to the inside. Busilia says, I'm not going to worry about you, Andrew. Lets him go, so move the 24, Andrew Berger, up into the top 5 for the first time tonight.
Definitely a great mixture of all the teams we're seeing up front, and one thing that Andrew Berger likes, as he has just overtaken Frank Busilia, is that actually right behind Frank Busilia, rather, in the number 17 Super Speedway Cup South team, he has a teammate too, number 20 Glenn Hedrick, right behind him. So definitely very spread out, and lots of teams up here compact. It's interesting to see the top 4 be first and fourth from one team and second and third from another, so it'll be interesting to see if they actually decide to work together and try to get something going, not take each other out. Obviously they're going to be real smart about it and try to work their way past CJ LeVere for this first position. And obviously this is not Daytona or Talladega, so it's easier said than done. They can't just push each other around them, but definitely watch for any sort of team strategy here to work through, because you mentioned top 3 trucks are going to count for points for your team, and every position matters. Indeed it does, Evan. It is so important to get a good team finish. You can go out and win the race all you want, but if your teammates aren't somewhere around you, it's not going to do anything for you. Back up front right now, Rod Flagg giving way to the leaders as these guys starting to encounter some lap traffic. They get around the 23 to Rod Flagg, A-OK. Mark Arthur in the 32, the next truck to go a lap down. He is running 20th right now. He is still on the lead lap, so this will be the first lap that he loses. Arthur going to give these guys the inside there.
CJ Rivera going to go by no problem, as well as the Midnight Thunder duo. They get by okay, so Arthur gives enough room to let these guys race it out, as it sort of looked like that Matt Lacrosse was starting to kind of challenge CJ Rivera again, and try to maybe get up there and try to get that lead back, but couldn't quite do it. He lost a little bit of time, not much, and they still sit in second and third, as Bobby Terrell, he is slowly starting to close the gap, as that RSR Outlaw truck is starting to get a little bit bigger in Chad Cole's mirror. Not going to matter, though. We have a caution on lap 91.
And we just saw a switch for sixth position to number 17, Frank Busilia, the third, to let his teammate of the 20 of Glenn Hedrick. He let him by. Obviously, they were teammates, and they decided that I'm not going to hold up a teammate. And the number 32, Mark Arthur, who we just saw go a lap down, is going to get your lucky dog as a caution came out, so good timing for him.
We saw earlier in this run here how super sideways Larry Scott Jr. in the 15 machine was. He just got wicked sideways off of turn number 2, couldn't hang on, slid down the back straightaway, hit the inside wall a couple times, once with the rear, once with the front. He brings out the caution here on lap number 91. So hopefully under this pit stop here, these guys, that Z-Loop Racing team, will be able to come down on the pit road, get that truck fixed for Larry, and hopefully beat out the dents and see if Larry's got anything, try and get back up towards the front of the field and try to contend and get some points for that Z-Loop Racing team. It's important, and so far he's had some struggles, and this will be a good time to get those fixed up. Clint, they're all starting to head into their pit stops. What are you seeing down there, bud?
They're all coming down for 4 tires again. It's looking pretty good for both the Midnight Thunder group and Super Speedway Cup South. This time, though, Matt Lacrosse will not be out first. It's going to be CJ Rivera, then Matt Lacrosse teammate Chad Cole in the 8 truck, and then we got Team RSR Outlaw trucks following up behind him with John Abbott, and right behind him is Andrew Berger. Nothing much different down here during this pit stop, guys.
So it's still the Midnight Thunder and RSR truck teams moving their way up and taking the top spots once again. But I'm seeing a new face into the top 5. It's still the same team, but now we got John Abbott. Looks like he came out of the pits in 4th place. So that's a third RSR truck. So that could be huge in this battle right here. We saw 2 of each RSR Outlaw and 2 Midnight Thunder. Now they got that third RSR driver up there. If he can stick up there, this duo right here, if they can finish in the top 5, hands down they will be able to win this event, Evan.
And definitely. And one car that did a good job, that just brought out the caution, the 15, Larry Scott Jr., did a good job of slowing that truck down and getting minimal damage. We've seen 2 trucks go behind the wall for the same thing that happened because they went head-on and destroyed their engine. So that 15 kept it off, maybe some rear-end damage. Obviously, they're going to try to get that fixed, but he has managed to stay on the lead lap for now. So good driving by that 15, keeping it on the lead lap, keeping himself in contention. And you mentioned up front, definitely great to have your teammates around. CJ Rivera, as you see the lap car just go by now. And that was the number 32 of Mark Arthur getting his lap back. And we have well past the halfway point. We are approaching lap 100 in 6 or so laps here. And then we're going to count it down for the final 50 laps of this race, in this 150 lap race here at Dover, the Monster Mile. And we heard down from pit road, nobody has taken really 2 tires. Clint Monahan mentioned 4 tires again, and I think they're playing it safe because with such a tough racetrack that's going to eat up these tires, a swing could end up ruining your race. You don't want to get too aggressive, take 2 tires, and then just be wicked loose and ruin your day.
Yeah, I don't see how anybody would want to think to take 2 tires with how loose the majority of this field has been. I mean, we've been seeing trucks sliding every which way around this track. It kind of seems silly to take 2 tires. So for right now, everybody playing it smart, taking 4 tires each stop, and working on these trucks for sure, because it's almost like an ice skating rink out there on the concrete canyon here at the Monster Mile. So we're about a half a lap away from going green flag. As you can see, the field has doubled up, and the first Actually, 5 out of the top 6 spots are either Midnight Thunder or RSR Outlaw Truck. The only driver not fitting into that is the 24 machine, last week's winner at Charlotte Motor Speedway, Andrew Berger. He is a Super Speedway Cup and North driver. He's got a couple of affiliate teammates in the Super Speedway Cup South roster behind him, as they're looking to mount a charge here and put a third and fourth teams into the taste with RSR Midnight Thunder.
They're definitely right there knocking on the doorstep, and the truck's doubled up right now. Pace car has jumped down to pit road. It's going to be 11 CJ LeVere in control of the field. The 5 going to be right next to him. Green flag is going to fly. They're going to be side by side. Inside with a little bit of a better run, you see the 8 Chad Cole get a little bit of advantage over the 14 John Abbott. Now the 5 Matt Lacrosse scoops up the racetrack and hops back in line just as he did before, so he does not get trapped up there. He's going to come into the 6th position, but the 8 right now, Chad Cole with a run down the backstretch. And we have an early caution. Caution is already back out. The 24 car, Andrew Berger around. Definitely not what you want to see. We have a huge incident on the backstretch. The 14, John Abbott, spun out into the 24, and then has collected the whole field.
Big time problems off of turn number 2. Has taken out some heavy hitters in this race. John Abbott gets sideways off of turn number 2. He collects Andrew Berger, and it is a massive pileup down on the back straightaway. There has to be at least 10 trucks or more involved in this one. John Abbott involved, Sean Brown. We got a couple other drivers. Jimmy Jones, a front runner. He's got some smoke coming out of his number 27 machine. A huge incident off the back straightaway. We mentioned it earlier there, Evan. It's the South Cleaning Racetrack. As soon as you get a couple cars sideways, nobody has anywhere to go, and that was evident here in this one. Huge change of events here on lap number 96.
You see all those trucks still getting up to speed, hard on the gas, and there was absolutely nowhere to go, and we managed to avoid that situation right there for a while. We saw 2 cars spin out at the back of the field, and then 2 managed to keep it down low, but on the restarts, definitely not what you want to see. And we were just talking about 2 or 4 tires. We're hearing that the 14 may have had 2 tires, caused them to get a little bit loose, and it came down into 24, and there was just absolutely nowhere to go. 24 into the inside wall, 14 into the bottom, and such a terrible incident taking out so many trucks. We see pit road is full of bent sheet metal. We can hear those hammers banging indeed. And Clint, what's the situation down there right now?
Well, it looks like a junkyard down here. From 4th on back pitted, CJ LeVere, Matt Lacrosse, Chad Cole all stayed out. Frank Busilia, he came in, he got 2 tires. But everybody else is on pit road there fixing damage, pulling a piece of metal. Something just flew by my head. It's just pretty rough down here, and tempers are flaring a lot. It's going to be a rough finish for the race for a lot of these drivers, if they can even finish.
Yeah, Clint, that is a tough break, as we can see here on our driver chat. We've got some heated emotions behind the number 20 machine of Glenn Hedrick. He is not too happy getting caught up in this one. Brendan Chaburko also is a little frustrated involved in this one. It's a very unfortunate situation, as there had to be at least 10 trucks involved in this accident, and a lot of good trucks too. Andrew Berger involved, John Abbott, we saw Jimmy Jones. He was running in the top 5 for the majority of the night here tonight. Brendan Chaburko, as loose as he was still pretty good and well in contention. Looks like Billy Weeks may have also been involved. Matt Kingsbury possibly as well. And the lucky dog for this one is going to be the 23 of Rod Flagg. Now Rod has gotten around Matt Bontempi, his teammate in the Super Speedway Cup North roster. So Bontempi is going to be the 4th truck in that lineup. So he will not score points. And after this one, a very high week at Charlotte last week for Super Speedway Cup North has now looks like to be a very low week for actually kind of both of the Super Speedway Cup teams, as Andrew Berger was involved, Glenn Hedrick, Brendan Chaburko. They are both South drivers. Berger is a North driver. So some pretty frustrated drivers in the Super Speedway Cup team, as is very understandable to come from such success, having both of their teams finish 1-2 last week, and now a lot of their trucks torn up in this big wreck here at the Monster Mile.
Yeah, that's right. The lights are off on the pace car, and I thought we weren't going till Daytona till next week, but unfortunately the big one at Dover, and we kept touching on it, and we were saying that we're getting lucky with these incidents, self-cleaning racetrack, and that obviously you can't avoid those situations all the time, and obviously very tough. That's going to really shuffle out the field. We only have 12 trucks right now on the lead lap, and the majority of those were right in front of where that incident occurred. Not many people behind that made it out clean. We have a bunch of drivers still on the track with a handful of sheet metal damage, and obviously we heard pit road, very crazy place, and a bunch of upset drivers definitely to speak. And if your teammate got taken out in that, you're running up front, maybe not with a cool head, so all the drivers got to take a deep breath here, get back in motion, and get ready to go some long. Hopefully we can get another green flag running here as we're going to work our way through 3 and 4, and we're getting ready to go green again.
Something I want to mention on real quick before we go green, I see a third blue truck up there, Steven Almindo, the number 29, the third Midnight Thunder entry. He is currently running in 6th place. They are outlaw guys. They lost a couple guys, so that is a huge shift in position change, as we have just now gone green flag to complete lap 100. We got 50 laps to go. This is going to bring some different strategies, some different drivers up to the front. It'll be interesting to see what can happen, but same story up front. CJ Levere has cleared, gotten off to a good restart. Ooh, Chad Cole pushes his teammate up into the outside wall in turn number 2. They all still hang on, but that was a close call there for the Midnight Thunder guys, as they almost had the same fate there with the RSR, as now it looks like CJ Levere is the one and only RSR driver in the top 5. So it's so crazy how quick things can change and how a race can be completely turned in a different direction.
And definitely those Midnight Thunder guys have 3 trucks in the top 5 right now, and the 29 was all over the bumper. That 17 of Frank Busilia on the restart. 17 came over the radio, not too happy about that, but the 29 moving forward, he definitely wants to keep that momentum going now. However, the 8 Chad Cole has now lost that 3rd position to Frank Busilia, the 3rd. So Frank's going to move up into the top 3, but it's still CJ Levere currently running in the lead with the Outlaw Trucks team. Then we have Matt Lacrosse, Midnight Thunder, and Frank Busilia for the Super Speedway Cup South. So the top 3 are now all different drivers, and the 17's looking high on that 5 slow on the front stretch.
Yeah, off of turn 4 there, Evan, Matt Lacrosse got wicked loose. He was able to hang on to the truck, but is unfortunately going to drop down to 3rd place. And now Frank Busilia has his eyes set on CJ Levere. Busilia knows how much of his team was taken out in that event, or in that wreck. And he's been the one strongest guy from both Super Speedway Cup rosters throughout the entire night. He's running the top 5 for the majority of the night, and he's looking to continue that run and hopefully try to finish there, so he can at least bring a decent finish back to the shop with a lot of twisted metal from some teammates. And he's kind of let CJ Levere get away from him here a little bit. We'll see what happens in these next few laps as these tires get some heat in them. They get a little more grip, and we'll figure out if Busilia's got anything for CJ Levere, and if he can contend and put a Super Speedway Cup team into victory lane for 2 weeks in a row.
And that's right, CJ Levere with a 7/10 of a second lead over Busilia, and then right behind him we have Matt Lacrosse and Chad Cole, the 5 and the 8. They are both representing the same race team, which is the RSR Midnight Thunder. Then we have the 15 Larry Scott Jr. for Z-Loop Racing, best truck on that team all night. He's hanging out in the 5th position, and Steven Almindo, who we saw up front, he's hanging out in 6th. So definitely Midnight Thunder doing really good tonight, and if they can keep it that way, that's going to be a great points night. And we only have 10 trucks on the lead lap, so that was definitely not what I was expecting for the end of the race. And you always know with these short track racing and tight quarters, those wrecks can happen, but I would not have predicted it, and it's really shaken things up for our entire race. And CJ Levere, though, continuing to pull away, now has a 1 second lead on the 2nd place truck, and that's number 17 of Frank Busilia, the 3rd.
Yeah, but you mentioned how much it really changes the course of this race, and it really has. I'm looking through the top 10 here. Nobody really has as strong of a team lineup as the Midnight Thunder guys do. They have 3 of their drivers currently running in the top 6. So if it stays like this, Midnight Thunder is going to have this win in the bag. But, you know, we've seen how quickly things can change. We have 41 laps to go still. That's still plenty of time for things to happen again. So who knows? We've seen how loose these guys have been, and some of the guys have been the Midnight Thunder guys. They've been sideways and up into the wall a couple times. And right now, they've got their mirrors full with Larry Scott Jr., who's trying to get up there and contend with them. And they also are trying to get around Frank Busilia and try to stop C.J. Levere from pulling away too much. As I say that, Chad Cole looking to the inside of Frank Busilia off of turn number 4, drag race down the front stretch. Matt Lacrosse is going to try and push him by. They're both going to be able to pass into turn number 1. Here comes Larry Scott. That's Matt Lacrosse spinning around. Busilia's around. Matt Lacrosse is able to save it, and Frank Busilia, the guy who gets the worst of it. Caution flag is out on lap 111, and as I had mentioned, anything can happen, and it sure did right there. A huge incident right there. Not a lot of damage to any of the trucks. Doesn't look like Busilia got up into the wall that hard, but he definitely went around, and that's going to cost him some all-important track position right there, Evan.
Another crazy turn of events. They're wrecking for third place. You saw the 8 car. Chad Cole got by, and the 5 stuck right up to the back of that 17 as they worked their way into turn number 1. You just saw it there on the E-play. And the 5 went down low, and he got just his left side tires on that apron, came up into the 17, and he would have been fine, but here comes the 15 having no idea, just trying to ride behind the 15. 15 slides up, and next thing you know, the 15, they're 3 wide. Then ended up turning the 5 truck, and Frank Busilia just so close to avoiding that, but the 5 just got into the 17, and the 5 and the 17 spun out. 17 managed to keep it off the wall for the most part. He backed it in, causing some damage to the rear end of that truck. We've seen people go around this racetrack with more damage on the rear end for that, so definitely still a salvageable night, but that's a tough break for that 17 as he was looking fast. He was slowly dropping off, though, and we're going to drop it down to pit road now. And Clint, what's going on down there this time?
All the lead lap cars are coming down to pit road. Busilia is going to have some pretty major work to do in the rear end. Y'all have to remember, these trucks are already loose enough as it is. Now that he's got damage on his right rear end, that might not be good for him for the rest of the night. And also, don't forget, when these drivers do take 2 tires, as you see the 11 of Levere come out, he's going to come out first, followed by the 8, Chad Cole. When you take 2 tires, you only take right sides. Your left rear is more important than most people think. The left rear still wears out, and it's not getting grip, so you're putting more wear onto the right rear, and by the time you get towards the end of the run, you're going to be sideways going down the straightaway. Back to you, Kyle and Evan.
Thank you, Clint. We saw the number 5 machine there, Matt Lacrosse. He stayed a little extra down on pit road to get some damage repaired, so he's going to probably drop out of the top 5 and surrender some positions. So that's going to switch things up quite a bit here in the running order, as we're seeing some of the more drivers who stayed out come back down into the pits. Some lap drivers caught up in that massive accident. They're coming back down for some damage repair. As we get things situated at the line here, looks like the leader is going to be, looks like it's a Twisty Motorsports driver, perhaps. Nope, those are some lap down trucks. That's C.J. Levere is going to assume the top spot once again. Larry Scott Jr. sitting in second place with Chad Cole, Steven Almindo, and Frank Busilia the third. Your top 5 after caution pit stops here on lap number 114 of 150.
And we touched on that 23 of Rod Flagg, who got a real rough night early on in this race. You see him, he's currently sitting just in front of C.J. Levere, obviously a lap down truck right now. But we mentioned he was way off of the lead lap, but he's going to stay out to see if he can gain positions. And with that big wreck, he's climbing in spots, even though he still sits 14 laps down. And he's going to slowly maybe be able to salvage not too bad of a finish. He's currently sitting in 20th position, and there are several cars in front of him down on pit road for damage. Not sure if they're going to be down there for 14 laps. But another thing to mention, the 19, Brandon Chaburko, who we saw hard charge of the race, he is now behind the wall as well. So very tough break for the majority. And that was such a huge incident, and I was not expecting that for third place. They just bobbled up and had absolutely nowhere to go off turn number 2. And that really is going to shake things up even more. So this keeps getting plot twists one after another. And one thing to keep an eye on, though, the only 2 trucks from the same team in the top 5 still remain the 8 of Chad Cole and the 29 of Steven Almindo. They're going to be starting 3rd and 4th side by side on this restart, so looking to salvage a good finish. And their teammate, of course, right behind them too, still Matt Lacrosse, and his 5 is currently going to be starting 7th. So they're still going to be hanging on to a good night if they can keep him on the racetrack, and it's going to get only crazier as the laps continue to tick down. Just about 35 laps to go as the lights on the pace car, I do believe, are off, and we're getting ready to go green this time by.
You know, looking back at that incident there, Ivan, I cannot believe that Matt Lacrosse was able to save that race truck. I mean, he did that in the middle of the corner. We know how much banking that is in this Dover International Speedway. Absolutely incredible save. The contact that he made with Frank Basilia's truck was probably enough to help kind of even the balance of the force in that truck, and he was able to hang on and didn't suffer as much damage as it could have been, as the pace car is now down on the pit road. Cesar Javert going to bring them down to complete lap 115, as we're going to have 35 laps to go. Green flag is back out. We're underway once again. Cesar Javert off to a great start. He's going to be able to clear Larry Scott in the 15, as well as Chad Cole. He's going to work his way underneath for third place. Frank Bucilia going to work on Larry Scott for third place, as well as the Midnight Thunder duo side by side for the 4th and 5th spots.
In that 15, Larry Scott Jr. just did not get a good restart. Spun the tires or was caught sleeping at the wheel, I don't know. Then I see the 17 almost getting into his left rear quarter panel. They're going to work into turn 1. 15 is going to pull down in front of him. But they really stacked up there, and the 5 of Matt Lacrosse got into the back of that 15 on the restart. So definitely big checkup for that inside line, and that allowed Chad Cole, who was starting in third position, to get up to second very quickly. Now Frank Bucilia trying to work his way around the 15. 15 is going to slide up high, get a little bit loose off 4, and here comes that 17. Going to suck all the way up to the side of that 15, get as much side draft as possible, and he is now going to take over that third spot, as here comes the 5, Matt Lacrosse, also looking at 15 truck not as strong, and it is dropping quick.
Yeah, Evan Larry Scott, he touched the apron a little bit there in the middle of 1 and 2, and that kind of slowed up his momentum, and that brought Matt Lacrosse's number 5 machine right to the rear bumper. He was trying to make a move down into turn number 3, but couldn't quite do it, as now Steven Almindo in the 29, he is going around teammate Matt Lacrosse for the 5th position, as looks like Sean Brown is also going to try and get around. Can't quite do that. Now Lacrosse is going to take the spot back in turn number 3, so some spot swapping going on right now. Sean Brown's going to stick his nose in, and he's going to be able to take advantage. Moves around the number 29 of Steven Almindo, and now we'll see if he's got anything for Matt Lacrosse, as Lacrosse is starting to pull away just a little bit in gap and try to run back down Larry Scott.
And if you're talking about a hard charger, how about that 2 truck? It's been a night of survival of the fittest. Did not qualify, started this 26th position way back on row number 13. Well, heck, who cares about that? He's currently running 6th, and he is knocking on the door of a top 5, as he is going to try to knock and try to catch that number 5 truck of Matt Lacrosse, who's currently sitting in the 5th position. And it doesn't seem like anybody can quite catch your leader still. The 11, CJ Lavere, still very fast. He's hanging out front, but that 8, Chad Cole, is definitely not fading as quickly as we've seen the second position cars do all night long. The 8 hanging in tough.
30 laps to go here in this one, and Chad Cole knows he's got a good machine underneath him. It's all about trying to see if he's got a good enough machine to get around CJ Lavere and be able to bring home the win here. Like I said, things still looking very good for the Midnight Thunder group. They have their 3 scoring trucks in the top 7, and everybody in between are the only drivers for their team, so they aren't going to be... I don't think anybody around them is going to be able to get enough points to overcome the Midnight Thunder group, unless something happens to one of them. As the 28 machine, Matt Kingsbury, he comes back out onto the track after damage repair. He lets these leaders go. So, and now Frank Basilia is into the outside wall off of turn number 4. That's going to kill his run. Larry Scott Jr. going to close up on him. Maybe look for some position off turn number 2 down into 3 here. And a yellow flag is out here on lap number 124.
17 slaps the wall again off of turn number 2, and we hear there is a wreck in turn number 4. Then we hear the number 4, Billy Weeks, involved in his white race truck. Looks like he was just coming into turn number 3, and it just snapped loose. He got real close to that wall, and as soon as he turned it left after getting off the wall, that truck just went right around again to 4. Billy Weeks in turn number 3, lap 115 is going to go around, get a little bit of cosmetic damage. Didn't really pound the wall too hard, but that's just going to add insult to injury, as he is running 8 laps down, but still in 14th position.
Yeah, a tough break for that number 4 machine. I saw it kind of going down the back straightaway. His truck was all sorts of damaged, and as soon as he touched the wall on the back straightaway, it just kind of knocked the truck out of control, and he could not hang on, went around. Didn't do a ton of more damage, but it's a very frustrating night for Billy Weeks' number 4 machine. He's currently running 14th right now, 8 laps down. So that's just pouring salt into the open wound for Billy Weeks. A tough night, as we got some trucks heading down onto pit road now, getting ready. These could be final green flag stops with final pit stops of the night with 25 laps to go. Clint, what do you got for us, bud?
All of the lead lap trucks are coming down pit road. A lot of them still have some damage they need to fix from before. For example, Matt Lacrosse has damage again. Also with Larry Scott Jr. still has major damage on his rear end that he's got to fix. They're all going to get 4 tires, gas. You got to remember, if you don't take gas, it's going to mess with I guess you could say it's going to mess with how the truck acts. These trucks are fixed set up on a full tank of gas, and not how it reacts when it's a lighter tank of gas. Just because it's a lighter tank does not mean they're going to go faster. Of course, coming out of the pits, we're going to have some drivers. Nope, CJ Lavert comes out first. I'm sorry, Frank Basilia came out in front of all of them. He may have taken 2 tires, guys. Yeah, 2 tires. 2 tires for Frank Basilia, and everybody else is on 4. We'll see how that strategy plays out, guys.
Frank Basilia the third gonna come out, your race leader, after some problems. They're getting caught up in not this past caution, but the one before. Got a little beat up race truck, but he has come back out, throwing a little strategy into the mix here, and he's currently your race leader. So it'll be interesting to see what he's going to be able to do up front. Less than 25 laps to go here at Dover International Speedway for the second race of the season of the ETV Live Team Series. We're going to step away really quick for a quick commercial break, and we will be back to take you to the checker flag and the end of this race. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back from Dover.
It's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Drivers, start your engines!
Michael Conti comes up at a corner number 4 in the checkered flag. He wins his first NASCAR race.
Green flag back in the air here at Dover International Speedway. 22 laps to go. Busilia and CJ Rivera side by side. Busilia's got some problems now. He drops back down into the fourth position actually. Chad Cole in the 8 machine working on Larry Scott Jr. for second place. CJ Rivera back out in front in his number 11 machine. We got the 25 in the outside wall. The 2 machine gets run over, spinning on the front straightaway into the inside wall. Yellow flag is out on lap 130.
Well, that was a really messy restart, and it looks like the 25 just got loose off turn 4, and the 2 had absolutely nowhere to go, and 5 went hard into the wall, or 25 took a good shot into the wall, managed to keep going. That was a side impact with the 2 of Sean Brown, nowhere to go, and gets turned by a car coming up behind him. Heavy contact with the inside wall, and I'll tell you, if that caution didn't come out, we were about to see one up front too. 17, Frank Busilia III, he had a rough ride that entire time. He caught the wall also off of turn number 4, and the 5 and the 29 tried to both pass him. They were almost 3 wide into turn number 1. So definitely very, very messy and intense restart there as the laps continue to tick away, and the only thing that can guarantee is that the excitement and drama is only going to build right now as we are back under caution.
Indeed it will, Evan. That's just a shorter amount of time to these drivers to make something happen here, and we all know that these late race restarts are always exciting, especially at this track. Busilia obviously understanding that there's something wrong with that machine as he's coming down onto pit road. The 25 machine, Ray Kingsbury, he's got some problems involved in that crash. He's working his way back down on pit road, and some other damaged trucks coming back down onto pit road to get their repairs done and get the trucks finalized here for this last little bit. Probably going to have about 15 laps or so when we go green flag racing, so it'll be a short run, but obviously enough needs to be done for these guys to make it to the end.
And definitely, and don't count out the possibility of another caution, because this track, Miles the Monster definitely hungry, and he's eating up whole kinds of race cars tonight. And we saw Frank Busilia had to take a big swing. He took 2 tires on the last pit stop to get out first, and last time we saw that was John Abbott, and ended up starting the big one at Dover, and he almost saw that 17 was hanging on for dear life that entire lap, and I think that caution may have saved him, or he would have lost a lot of more positions, maybe even wrecked his car. So he comes down pit road. He's still sitting there, obviously maybe getting some damage repairs. He hit the wall a couple times, but those are just the things. That's just part of racing. You're gonna have to, if you're trying to put yourself in position for the win, you're gonna have to try something, and it just didn't work for that truck.
Trying something to put himself into position, though, to win that did work has to go to the 15 machine of Larry Scott Jr. We saw he spun himself off of turn number 2 not that long ago, and had some contact with the inside wall. He's gotten his truck back into position, and he is running in the 2nd spot right now with a chance to knock down CJ Rivera and take over that number 1 spot. 3rd, 4th, and 5th are the Midnight Thunder guys, Chad Cole, Steven Orlando, and Matt Lacrosse. Those guys still looking as strong as they have been all night long, and all 3 of them running in the top 5 definitely going to come out of here your winners if they can hang on. They have 2 Super Speedway Cup North drivers. That is Terrence Donovan and Andrew Berger, though. Both of those drivers are on the lead lap, so it'll be interesting to see if those 2 can kind of come up and play with the Midnight Thunder guys.
And you just mentioned Terrence Donovan and his number 22. His truck, along with, I believe it is the 29 of Steven Armindo and CJ Rivera, are about the only trucks in the top 10 without a big dent in their bumper. And we heard Clint talking about that downforce. Definitely you want as much as possible, especially at a loose racetrack like Dover, and that may affect those cars. So it seems like the safest place is out front, and that's CJ Rivera in the 11. Definitely strong all night, and he's managed to keep his nose clean so far. You mentioned Larry Scott Jr., though. He's got a fast truck. He's self-spun, and he's worked his way back up there. So definitely a lot of fighters. And then we have 3 Midnight Thunder trucks, I do believe, all together in their baby blue trucks, so to speak. They're going to be positions 3rd through 5th, so watch out for that team. Still very strong, and in this team series, such a great run going so far for that team. But that doesn't mean they still can't wreck it. There's about 11 cars on the lead lap, and we're going to come to green with just about 15 laps to go. So still a wild ride to go.
Indeed it is, Evan. Setting up here for a late race dash to finish this one up. We got CJ Lever, who has definitely dominated the majority of this race. He's been up front with the Midnight Thunder guys all night, but he has been the one leading the majority of it. Larry Scott Jr. in the 15 is lined up second. Chad Cole, Stephen Lamando, Matt Lacrosse third through fifth, the Midnight Thunder guys. And then we got Terrence Donovan, Andrew Berger, Mike Arthur, Garrett Denton, and Frank Busilia, the third. Top 10 heading into this restart with 16 laps to go. Pace car down on pit road. CJ Lever has control of the field. He's bringing them through turn 4 at a steady 45 miles an hour. Getting ready to stab the gas and getting ready to go here. And the green flag is back out. We are underway. 16 laps to go here at Dover.
The shootout begins. They're side by side for the lead. The 11 and the 15. We have a black flag on the 17. Breaking news. Frank Busilia. Black flag. He has to take his penalty. And right now the 11 CJ Lever with the lead. Here they come looking 3 wide. Maybe the 8 Chad Cole's got to check up for CJ as they enter turn 3, which puts Larry Scott Jr. on the high side. Now the 8's going to dive down low in that 15, and they're going to be side by side for second. And the only person that's going to help is CJ Lever. If they are battling, he is only going to go farther and farther away. Now the 15 Larry Scott Jr. way out of the gas. Now the almost comes down to the 5. We have trucks blowing up everywhere. Things are definitely being crazy, and once we single file out, it's still CJ Lever. So the question is, can Chad Cole get it done?
He's looking very strong, Evan. The Midnight Thunder guys, they are coming in up, blazing down as they're starting to run down CJ Lever. Chad Cole all over the rear bumper of that number 11 machine as he is trying to make something happen off of turn number 2. He's got his teammate Matt Lacrosse right behind him. Those guys looked hungry and they looked fast. Very, very fast and getting ready to make the move on the number 11 of CJ Lever. 13 laps to go this time by. Can Lever hold them off? These guys are looking oh so strong as the 3 of them start to separate themselves from the rest of the field. 13 to go.
And definitely you saw the 8 Chad Cole get right to the bumper of that 11 truck, but you don't want to get the run and go to the high side. We've seen that hasn't really worked yet all night long, so he's going to wait and he's going to let the 11 know he's going to get right on in his bumper, and that's a sign to the driver saying, I'm here. If you mess up, you're going to lose that position. And the 5 Matt Lacrosse is hanging in right there, as you mentioned. In third place, they've opened up a 6/10 of a second gap on the 4th place car, which is number 15 of Larry Scott Jr. 3-car battle, and Chad Cole and Matt Lacrosse teammates. Best position you can be in is to have a teammate right behind you. And we have another caution.
Caution on the Speedway turn 2 as Super Speedway Cup South driver has been turned into the outside wall. I saw just in the background as we were focusing on these leaders. That looks to be, unfortunately, the 17 of Frank Busilia, the 3rd. His night just gets worse. He had such a strong truck and getting caught up in some more problems. He gets turned into the outside wall. Truck getting up onto 2 wheels there. Fortunately, comes back down safely on all 4s without going over. But he probably not too happy inside the cab of that truck.
And what a turn of events. When you think he's got it made, he goes to the front. He's been fast all night. Nearly wrecks, comes down pit road, gets black flagged. They managed to clear that situation up, and they gave it back to him. But then we saw right there off of turn number 2, I do believe it was, the 31 just up high. That was Garrett Denton. Haven't heard much of him all night. He's hanging out in the 8th position right now. 17 just pushed up the track a little bit, maybe thought he was clear and got turned head-on in the outside wall. 31 got a good smack to the inside wall also, so lots of damage for those 2 trucks. And again, we are under caution, but the number 15 now, Larry Scott Jr., he was running in 4th position. He is now currently going down pit road. Clint, what's up with that?
Larry Scott Jr. is going out, he's taking a chance on this one. The smart thing would be to do, since he's the only one going down pit road right now, should be 4 tires for the Zloop Silverado while everybody else stays out. Remember, they are on, was it 11 lap old tires? That'll make the difference. And also, don't forget, there were only 10 people on the lead lap. Also pitting is the 2 truck, but he still has damage. But now you gotta look out for Larry Scott on this restart. He's got 4 fresh tires and even more damage that's been fixed.
So we're looking here to have less than 10 laps to go on the restart here once we go back green flag racing. that's less time for CJ Lavere to have to worry about these Midnight Thunder guys. They looked so strong off that last restart. Chad Cole was all over the rear bumper of that number 11 machine, and I thought he was looking to get by here with the next few laps. So that definitely helps CJ. Hopefully he can get off to a good restart. I'm sure he's looking to do that and kind of separate himself from those guys so he doesn't have to worry about them anymore. But there's 3 really strong blue trucks in his rearview mirror that are not going to go down without a fight, and they're ready. They want to take that lead. From the looks of it, they're going to win the race as long as they don't get into some problems here. But they want one of those blue trucks up into victory lane for a driver and not just the team itself.
And definitely the 11 CJ Lavere is loving these cautions because it looks like maybe his truck not so good on the long run. We saw Chad Cole knocking on the door, and I think if we stayed green, it's just a matter of time before the 8 gets around him. So now it's up to how CJ Lavere manages this restart with Chad Cole and Matt Lacrosse. They were knocking on the door that entire time, and that is 3 Midnight Thunder trucks right behind CJ Lavere. Definitely not a sight that he wants to see. And it's being shown in 5th right now. Not sure if that's going to update. They've come by the stripe and it hasn't changed quite yet. But the number 15, Larry Scott Jr., came in for 4 tires, and he's sitting in 5th.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see if those tires are going to be able to help him here on this late run. He's definitely going to have a shot, I think. He's got the fresher rubber. If he can make quick work of these guys, he might be able to do something spectacular here. As it looks like, yep, we got the 1 to go. So we are going to have a 7-lap shootout once we go green next time by. It is going to be a absolutely amazing finish here to finish up the second race of the ETV Live Team Series at Dover International Raceway. The gmercer.com 150. Just about ready to conclude here, and it's gonna get nuts. Field works his way down into turn number 3. CJ Lavere, quite possibly and probably hoping to make the final restart here. All he's got to do is get about 2 to 3 laps in, and if something happens, this race is his. He's got a strong pack of Midnight Thunder guys here that he's got to deal with. It'll be interesting to see if he can do it. The pace car down on the pit road. Fans standing all up on their feet. They're ready. They know this is going to be a good finish. Green flag about to wave. CJ Lavere stabs the gas, and we are racing once again here at Dover. 7 laps to go. Outside lane, Chad Cole gets a great start, but can he do anything with it? No, he cannot. Matt Lacrosse going to try and file on by him and see if he has anything for CJ Lavere off of turn number 2. There comes the 15, Larry Scott Jr. He's already up in the 3rd place, and he's looking to take 2nd from Matt Lacrosse. Can't quite do it in turn number 3. Lavere's got the lead. Lacrosse trying to make the move. Larry Scott all over the rear bumper. He's giving him a shove through turn number 4. 6 laps to go. Whoa! Sideways is the number 8 of Chad Cole. He hangs on, tries to look to the inside of Larry Scott Jr. Can't quite do it. Single file through the field.
He nearly caught the back of that 8 truck of Chad Cole, and here comes the 15, Larry Scott Jr. Question is, will he use the bumper? He definitely has the fastest truck on the racetrack with those 4 fresh tires, but he needs to get around at 5 if he wants a shot at CJ Lavere, and he's dropped off a little bit of Matt Lacrosse. Matt Lacrosse not giving CJ Lavere any room. He's going to go side by side. Turn number 1 for the lead. 5 has to check up. They're side by side, the 5 and the 11. Here comes the 15 on the bumper. The 5 gives him a shot. The 11, CJ Lavere is going to wreck from the lead. Caution will fly with 4 laps to go. Will this end it? Your leader is in the inside wall. I'll tell you, I've never seen anything like that. What a turn of events. Matt Lacrosse is being shown your leader right now.
CJ Lavere goes around off the bumper of Matt Lacrosse, backs it into the outside wall hard, comes back down, gets some contact from some more drivers. Wow, Evan. This will be interesting to see what happens here. On how race control views this. It's the end of the race. You're fighting for the win. You got a guy inside. You got to do all you can to keep him behind you. But we'll get a better look at it here. But Matt was there. Matt was to the inside. CJ was trying to do all he could to keep him behind him, and they came together, and unfortunately CJ got the worst of it. We'll see here what happens, but I don't know, that's close.
Yeah, definitely the 5 was hanging in there, Matt Lacrosse, and we saw the 15 fastest truck on the racetrack. We saw him right in the bumper that 5 just a lap before. We got to think, bump and run, are you going to go for it? And I think that was just a bad timing for everybody. The 15 gave that 5 a little bit of a bump, letting him know he's there. And the 11, CJ Lavere, protecting his position. You saw there on the replay, he was a lot lower than anybody that we had seen before when they were too wide. Obviously, trying to protect that position, pinch the other person down and try to get as good as an exit as possible for that 11 truck. And as soon as the 15 bumped that 5, it was just the slightest bit of contact into the left rear quarter panel of the 11. And the 11 was sent straight around. And now, currently sitting, if we do bet green, Race Control is talking about it. We are about to find out if we're going to go green again, but right now it's sitting Matt Lacrosse in. His number 5 is in first, Larry Scott Jr. in the 15 in second, then Chad Cole and Steven Almindo, both for that Midnight Thunder team, so 3 Midnight Thunder trucks in the top 4. Great outing for them. And the number 5, Matt Lacrosse, not too happy about that situation. He's saying his spotter maybe said there was a little bit more room, and that's one of the things with simulation racing. Maybe a prediction code or net code error, but it's definitely going to be close there. So very, very interesting race entirely, and I've never seen quite a finish quite like this.
Moment of truth right here, 2 to go. The pace lights are still on. This one is over. Matt Lacrosse is going to pick up the win, and without a doubt, 3 trucks in the top 4. Midnight Thunder is going to come out of this one with the team victory here at Dover International Speedway. A pretty good fight, though, looking at the finish. Terrence Donovan and Andrew Berger, 5th and 6th. CJ Lavere, Bobby Terrell, 7th and 8th. But having 3 guys in the top 4, the 3 positions that count, it's going to go to them. Midnight Thunder has got it. The Super Speedway Cup North and the RSR, they have only 2 guys there in that group together, so it's going to go to the Midnight Thunder guys, and Matt Lacrosse is going to come home with a victory. And we said it right there, Larry Scott Jr. overcoming adversity, having some problems of his own, spinning down the back straightaway, some decent amount of damage on that number 15 truck, but he's going to represent for his Loop Racing team, and he's going to finish in 2nd place. So we'll get a word with him when this one's all said and done, but we still got a lap to go here under caution, and we'll talk to these guys. But a very dominating performance by the Midnight Thunder group here tonight. CJ Lavere leading the most laps tonight by far, but that Midnight Thunder group, they were running in the top 5. Chad Cole and Matt Lacrosse for the entire race. It took a little bit before Steven Almindo, before he peeked his nose in there and started to help that team, but all 3 of them are there, and they're going to finish 1st, 3rd, and 4th, so a very successful night for the Midnight Thunder team here tonight.
And definitely in their 4th, teammate Josh Cheney, 26th position, 125 laps down. So you mentioned the top 3 trucks are taking home points. Definitely a great night out for them. 15, Larry Scott Jr. trying to spoil the party, and his number 15 for his Z-Loop Racing team is going to take home 2nd, but definitely such a strong night for this Midnight Thunder team.
Final times through turn number 4. Behind the pace car here, Matt Lacrosse, the number 5 machine, is going to bring it off of the turn. Checkered flag is in the air. The truck is still under power. He looks like he is going to be able to do it, and he will. Matt Lacrosse is going to claim race number 2 here in the ETV Live Team Series. He picks up the win, and Midnight Thunder has won in the team portion. Larry Scott Jr. 2nd, Chad Cole 3rd, Steven Almindo 4th, Terrence Donovan rounding out your top 5 with Andrew Berger, CJ Lavere, Bobby Terrell, Ray Kingsbury, and Garrett Denton rounding out the top 10. and those 10 drivers all on the lead lap. We're going to get a chance to talk to these guys here on the other side of the break as Matt Lacrosse and the Midnight Thunder team going to head out to the front straightaway and celebrate this big win here at Dover International Speedway. They have claimed the Monster Mile. Don't go anywhere. Post-race interviews coming up after the break. We will be right back.
Team Racing Series returns to ETV Live on Tuesday nights following the Fast Track Racing Series radio show. After organizing a highly successful team series in 2010, Jerry Wolf is back with some kick butt, take no prisoners team racing action like you have never seen before. The ETV Live Team Racing Series is sponsored by HD Radio Network live on Tuesday nights from 9 p.m. Eastern. Don't wimp out, dude. Catch the action live at etv-eplay.net.
Welcome back to the Dover International Speedway, where we have just finished up the second race of the season here for the ETV Live Team Series. Matt Lacrosse has picked up the victory here, but before we get a word from him and his winning Midnight Thunder team, Evan Posoko is down there on pit road. He is caught up with the number 22 machine of Terrence Donovan. He comes home 5th, but his Super Speedway Cup North team, he is the third different driver for a team, so we're going to run down there with Evan as he is caught up with Terrence. Evan, what do you got?
And that's right, we're down here on pit road with the 22, and Terrence Donovan, a strong night out for you after a crazy night at Dover. You managed to round off our top 5. You started way back in the 21st position. Tell us how this race went from behind the wheel, because it was a crazy one from up here.
Yeah, I just... the race went according to plan. I just stayed out of the wrecks and just sort of ran conservatively. I wasn't too aggressive, and yeah, I'm pretty happy. I haven't run here much, so 5th is a lot better than I was expecting.
And that's right, we saw the big one, which is normally something that we'd expect from your guys' next race at Daytona. Where were you in that situation? Were you ahead of the wreck, or did you have to weave your way through that?
I think I just barely squeaked through it. Might have gotten a little damage.
And definitely, well, you managed to get a top 5, and you were the leading truck for your team, and right behind you, your teammate Andrew Berger and his number 24. So great night out for your Super Speedway Cup North team. And tell us how important it is for all your drivers in your team to have consistent nights, and what goes through your mind when you find out that one of your drivers may be having a rough night, especially when these points are based off of teams.
Yeah, it really stinks because yeah, I was probably the weakest driver of them all, and to have him go down, it hurts. But yeah, Andrew had a pretty good race, and Frank, it was tough to see him hurt, and Rod, you know. But yeah, I'm happy with what I got. So congratulations to the RSR guys; those guys are fast.
Well, definitely a strong night out for you guys. You had the points lead going into this race. We might see some things shake up when everything is said and done, but who makes it happen for your team and you?
Yeah, everybody on the team, they're all pretty good, and thanks to Rod and you guys put on a good broadcast.
Well, the number 22, Terrence Donovan's going to come home in your top 5 at the Monster Mile. A great night out for his Super Speedway Cup North team.
Indeed it was, Evan, and I'm down here with the number 15 machine, Larry Scott Jr. Larry, you had quite an interesting night during around the halfway point of the race. You had some problems, got a little bit loose, spun the truck, hit the inside wall a little bit. But you're able to fight back, used a little bit of pit strategy at the end there, and you're coming home 2nd place tonight. A pretty good run for you, so talk about your race. I'm sure you got to be happy.
Yeah, I'm alright. I'm pretty happy with second. I would have rather got the win, but as loose as the truck was today, I'm happy to bring it home second and in one piece. You know, that scary moment in the middle of the race where I kind of lost it and got it in the wall and thought the truck was done, but we were able to bring it home, you know, second, and couldn't I really ask for much more with as much damage as we had.
It was definitely important for you to shake off the frustration there early in the second half of the race, and you were able to come back and finish second. Talk about the determination behind you and your team to get that truck fixed and get it back out so you could have a good run.
Yeah, honestly, I have to really give my teammates Aaron Goskoff and Josh Harbison all the credit for that. They kept me in it and kept me going. You know, I was ready to pretty much hang up the towel and just give up on it, but they kept me in it.
That late race caution there, you decided to come back down. You got some tires. Had this race gone green flag to the end, do you think that you could have had anything for Matt Lacrosse and CJ Levere?
I really feel like I do. I feel like I was in the best position to win the race. Matt and CJ were really starting a battle there, and really what I had planned to do was get by CJ when Matt passed him, and then try to get by Matt after he got by CJ. And I think I'd had just enough time to probably get it done, but Matt had a really fast truck all night, and it wasn't going to be easy, if I was able to do it.
A very successful night for the number 15, Larry Scott Jr. Larry, you got a lot of stickers here on this beautifully painted Z-Loop racing truck. Who do you got to thank for tonight's performance?
Yeah, first of all, I got to thank Aaron and Josh for bringing me over onto the team. Had a kind of a last-minute deal. Also got to thank Z-Loop, Disabled Racers, Ream, Monster Energy, Lane Sim Products, all those guys that help us out. And it's just been a lot of fun. This series is a lot of fun, and thanks to you guys for putting it on.
That is Larry Scott Jr., driver of the number 15 machine. He brings his machine home second place here tonight. Evan Posoko down in victory lane with a very, very happy Matt Lacrosse. He's got him and all of his teammates in there. 3 out of the top 4. A dominating performance by that team. They are so, so happy. They got into victory lane. The driver and the team winning tonight's event. Evan, take it away.
And that's right, a Midnight Thunder party down here in victory lane. Matt Lacrosse gets a tub of Gatorade poured over his shoulders. A great night for that team. And Matt, we saw you had the fastest truck in practice. You didn't quite get the run you were looking for in qualifying. How was the truck tonight?
First off, I just want to say that no one wants to win like that. Me and CJ are pretty good friends, and we worked on this setup together. And I don't know what happened. I didn't think I touched him, and I had a spotter tell me net code. So I feel really bad for CJ because he was really fast, but it's just terrible. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I feel so bad. It's not how you want to win these things.
And definitely a tough finish. But you guys, as a team, had an overall a strong finish. You guys had 3 trucks in the top 5, and your teammates down here celebrating. That will move your team up to second in the overall points at the end of the night. And we saw a pretty wild race from up here in the booth. How was the race from your view?
It was pretty crazy. Me, Chad, Steven, CJ, we're all up there running with each other, and we're talking to each other and making sure that we were just trying to hold our positions, not do anything dumb. And I was talking to him on that last restart on what I should do, and I mean, I'm just trying to race. I tried to race everyone clean, but I got CJ there. Net code, it's terrible. I really feel bad. I really, really, really feel bad. I don't know if I'm stressing that enough, but yeah, good run for our team. We'll just have to see what happens next week at Daytona.
And definitely an excited but humble driver down here in victory lane. He loves to race it out clean and not the finish you were definitely looking for. But who makes this race happen for you and your teammates?
I want to thank RSR first and foremost. They put me in here, and I love racing over there. That's John Abbott and Joey Gattina and all those guys over there. And thank Hippie's Paint Shop for painting all these trucks for RSR. He does a great job. You guys go check him out at hippiespaintshop.com. I want to thank you guys up in the booth. You guys do an outstanding job, and we'll see you next week.
Well, down here in Victory Lane, it's full of baby blue. Midnight Thunder is going to take home 3 trucks in the top 4 and a great points night out for them, but Chad Cole comes home with the trophy.
a very successful night for the Midnight Thunder Group, as the official results are in. They have taken home the victory here tonight, 142 points for that team. They have about, I believe it was a 37-point advantage, or 27-point advantage for the Midnight Thunder guys over the Super Speedway Cup North Union. They came home second after the win last week at Charlotte. They fall second here tonight. The Outlaw Truck Team, they will come home third. Last Lap Motorsports fourth. Crossed Up Motorsports fifth. Super Speedway Cup South Rebel sixth. Twisty Motorsports seventh, and the Z-Loop Racing Team in eighth place here tonight. Heading it over to Evan Posoko, who has the updated point standings at the end of tonight's event.
And definitely Matt Lacrosse in victory lane. There's so much Midnight Thunder down here, I'm getting confused. Definitely, though, Chad Cole took home third place, but definitely Matt Lacrosse, I'm getting all these names mixed up. He took home that trophy and that prize bonus for that team. So definitely a strong night out for them, but we touched on the fact that they had moved into second place in the updated points overall, and that Super Speedway Cup North Union remains in the points lead as they did entering into tonight. But after such a strong night from the RSR Midnight Thunder Group, they're going to move up into second overall in the point standings. Then we have Last Lap Motorsports sitting in third, and Super Speedway Cup South Rebel with a rough night out. They have dropped back to fourth.
So the points have shaken up quite a bit after tonight's event, and Evan, it's only going to shake up more. It's Daytona next week. It's going to be nuts, even more nuts than it was tonight. I don't know if that's even possible or not, but it could well be. A very entertaining race here tonight at the Dover International Speedway. Dover, always a very high entertaining race, high action-packed track, and it's only going to get better next week at Daytona. Final thoughts on tonight's race?
Well, we saw the big one, which is what you normally expect at Daytona, and that's next week for the MTCO.com 200 at Daytona for the third race. But definitely a wild night. What a crazy finish. Contact at the end. Not intentional, but a great race all around, and definitely survival of the finish. We only saw 10 trucks finish this race on the lead lap. And unfortunately, I'm not going to be around the racetrack for the next 2 weeks or so, so I'm going to end up missing Daytona in Kentucky, and I'm returning right when we hit that road course, so hopefully I'll be able to make it to the racetrack in time to see that. But definitely great 2 races. Unfortunately, I'm going to miss 2 or 3 more, but then I'll be here for the second half of the season, and it'll be interesting to see how points shake up by the time I get back.
Indeed it will be, Evan. We saw a very entertaining race here tonight. A lot of controversy, a big changer halfway through the race there when we had a massive crash on the back straight that took out at least 10-plus trucks, and it took out some of our front runners. And it's if there was one word to describe tonight's event, that would be thunder. As Midnight Thunder came in, they roared and they conquered, and the Monster Mile here tonight, we're not going to get eaten up by Miles the Monster, as he couldn't quite swallow the pain that they did here tonight at the Dover International Speedway. So we have Daytona next week. If we thought tonight was good, oh, just wait until next week. We thank each and every one of you for joining us here tonight for the gmercer.com 150 at Dover International Speedway. For JD Webb, John Wessling, Jerry Wolf, our series director, for Clint Monahan and Evan Posoko, my name is Kyle Young. Thank you for joining us here tonight. We hope to see you next week at Daytona International Speedway. Have a good night, and we will see you next time.